The desert wind of West Texas had a way of whispering secrets. At 2:17 a.m., the empty highway outside Austin looked like a black ribbon cutting through miles of dry land and scattered neon lights. Gas stations flickered in the distance, the kind of lonely roadside stops where truckers bought burnt coffee and people with problems tried to outrun their past. So Charlotte leaned against the hood of her black Dodge Challenger, cigarette glowing faintly in the darkness. Her eyes were locked on the horizon, waiting. The air smelled like gasoline and dust. She checked her phone again. No messages, no calls, but that didn't surprise her, because the man she was waiting for was the same man who had once sold her soul. Or at least, that's what it felt like. Charlotte flicked the cigarette onto the asphalt and crushed it under her boot. "All right," she muttered to herself. "Let's see if you've still got the guts, Logan." The name tasted bitter. Logan Hayes, best friend, business partner, traitor. 3 years earlier, Charlotte had trusted him with everything. Now she was here to collect a debt. And in Texas, debts always got paid. 3 years earlier, Austin, Texas. The city was alive with music, neon signs, and the constant hum of nightlife. 6th Street pulsed with energy as college kids, musicians, and tech workers filled bars and food trucks under glowing streetlights. Inside a crowded bar called the Broken Cactus, Charlotte pushed through the door with the confidence of someone who owned the room. The smell of beer and fried food hit instantly. Country music blasted from old speakers. Logan sat at a corner booth, waving when he spotted her. "Damn, cha," he said as she slid into the seat. "You're late again." Charlotte smirked. "Relax, cowboy. Traffic." Logan laughed. "At midnight." She shrugged. Texas traffic never sleeps. A waitress dropped 2 beers on the table. Logan raised his bottle. "To the future." Charlotte clinked her bottle against his. "To getting rich." They drank. And for a moment, everything felt simple. Charlotte and Logan had known each other since high school in Austin. They were the kind of friends who survived bad decisions together, late-night road trips, bar fights, business failures, and dreams bigger than their bank accounts. But lately, those dreams were getting closer. Logan leaned forward. "You checked the numbers?" Charlotte nodded. "Yeah, if the investors sign tomorrow, weigh in." Logan grinned. "Then that's it. No more broke startup life. No more ramen noodles." Charlotte laughed. "Speak for yourself. I like ramen." Their startup wasn't glamorous, but it was smart. They'd built a small tech company focused on data security for independent musicians, protecting digital rights, streaming revenue, contracts. It was niche, but it worked. And now a major investor from Dallas was interested. If the deal went through, they'd both be millionaires before 30. Logan tapped the table excitedly. "Man, you realize what this means?" Charlotte leaned back. "Yeah. No more worrying about rent. No more scraping by." He lowered his voice. "We made it, Cha." Charlotte studied him carefully. Logan had always been the optimistic one. The dreamer. She was the strategist. The survivor. "You're celebrating too early," she said. Logan frowned. "Why?" "Because deals fall apart." Logan waved his hand dismissively. "Nah, this one's solid." Charlotte wasn't so sure, but she smiled anyway. "Fine. One night of optimism." They ordered another round. Then another. By 2 a.m. the bar had gotten louder. Logan leaned across the table. "You know what's crazy?" "What?" "We started this whole thing in your garage." Charlotte chuckled. "Yeah, with one broken laptop. And now investors are flying in to meet us." He raised his glass again. "To the garage startup that made it." They clinked bottles again. Neither of them noticed the man watching from the bar. Tall, expensive suit, quiet eyes. The kind of man who didn't belong in a place like the Broken Cactus. His name was Victor Hale. And before sunrise, Charlotte's life would change forever. 2 weeks later, Charlotte was running down Congress Avenue when her phone started vibrating nonstop. Call after call. emails flooding in. Her stomach tightened. Something was wrong. Very wrong. She stopped under a street light and opened her email. The subject line made her heart drop. Legal notice, immediate termination. Her fingers trembled as she opened the message. The investor deal was cancelled. Not delayed. Cancelled. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was the line underneath. Ownership of the company has been legally transferred to Logan Hayes. Charlotte blinked. Once. Twice. That's not possible, she whispered. She dialed Logan instantly. Voicemail. She called again. Voicemail. Her chest tightened. Then another email arrived. This one from their lawyer. Short. Cold. Professional. Charlotte, according to the documents filed yesterday, you signed away your ownership shares. Her blood turned ice cold. No, she whispered. She hadn't signed anything. Unless. Her mind raced back to the night at the bar. The drinks. The paperwork Logan said was routine investor forms. Her stomach dropped. Son of a... She sprinted toward Logan's apartment. When she arrived, the door was locked. Lights off. Car gone. But taped to the door was an envelope. Her name written in Logan's handwriting. Charlotte ripped it open. Inside was a single sheet of paper. 3 sentences. Charlotte, I didn't have a choice. They made me an offer I couldn't refuse. At the bottom, a number. $10 million. Charlotte's hands started shaking. $10 million, she whispered. He sold the company. He sold her share. He sold everything they built together. And he did it behind her back. Her chest filled with rage so intense it made her dizzy. You sold me, she whispered. The desert wind blew down the empty hallway of the apartment building. Charlotte crumpled the letter slowly. You sold my shadow. 3 years later, the Dodge Challenger's engine roared to life. Charlotte adjusted her leather jacket and glanced at the glowing screen on her phone. A message had just arrived. Unknown number. But she knew exactly who it was. Logan Hayes. The message was short. We need to talk. Charlotte smiled coldly. Oh, we definitely gonna talk. She slammed the car into gear. The tires screamed against the asphalt as she sped down the dark Texas highway. Because Logan Hayes had no idea what Charlotte had become in 3 years. He thought he betrayed the same girl from that bar. But the girl from the broken cactus didn't exist anymore. Now there was only Charlotte. And Charlotte had spent 3 years preparing for revenge. What Logan didn't know was that someone far more dangerous than Charlotte was already hunting both of them. And tonight, everything was about to explode. Texas storms never asked permission. 1 minute the sky was clear. The next it was exploding with thunder that rattled windows and flooded streets. Neon lights blurred through the rain on Interstate 35 as Charlotte's black Dodge Challenger cut through traffic like a blade. Wipers slammed back and forth. Her phone sat on the passenger seat. The message from Logan still glowed on the screen. We need to talk. Charlotte smirked. Yeah, she muttered. You're about 3 years late for that conversation. The Challenger's engine roared as she accelerated. Austin's skyline appeared ahead. Glass towers glowing through the storm, cranes hanging over half-finished tech buildings, billboards advertising crypto startups and luxury apartments. 3 years ago, she would have looked at that skyline with hope. Now she looked at it like a battlefield. Charlotte pulled into a dim parking lot behind a bar on East 7th Street. The sign flickered. The Longhorn Pit. The place hadn't changed. Same rusty pickup trucks parked outside. Same smell of whiskey and cigarettes drifting into the rain. She killed the engine and sat there a moment. Memories crawled back whether she liked it or not. Logan laughing over cheap beer. Late nights planning their startup. Arguments about code and investors. Dreams that felt real. Charlotte clenched her jaw. Not tonight. She stepped out into the rain. Inside, country music blasted from speakers older than most of the customers. Cowboys, bikers, and exhausted night shift workers filled the tables. Charlotte walked straight to the bar. The bartender, a big man with a gray beard, squinted at her. Well, I'll be damned. Charlotte raised an eyebrow. Still alive, Ray? Ray chuckled. Barely. Thought you skipped town. Something like that. He grabbed a glass. Whiskey. Double. He poured. Ray studied her as she took the drink. You look different. Charlotte shrugged. People change. Ray nodded slowly. Yeah, but you changed the dangerous way. Charlotte didn't respond. Instead, she slid her phone across the bar. Ray read the name on the screen. Logan Hayes. Ray sighed. So he finally reached out. Charlotte took another sip. Looks like it. Ray leaned closer. Cha! That guy disappeared after the company deal. Whole city was talking about it. Yeah, she said quietly. I noticed. Ray lowered his voice. You gonna do something stupid tonight? Charlotte smiled faintly. Depends on your definition of stupid. Ray didn't smile back. You were like family, hey, kid. Charlotte met his eyes. Then don't ask questions. Ray raised his hands. Fair enough. Thunder cracked outside. The bar door creaked open. Charlotte didn't turn around, but she knew. Logan Hayes walked in. 3 years had changed him. Logan used to dress like every other tech founder in Austin, jeans, sneakers, startup hoodies. Now he wore a tailored navy suit, expensive watch, hair perfectly styled. But his face looked tired, like someone who hadn't slept in months. He spotted Charlotte at the bar. For a moment he froze. Then he walked over slowly. Charlotte finished her whiskey before turning. Their eyes met. 3 years of silence filled the space between them. Logan spoke first. Hey, Cha. Charlotte looked him up and down. Well, Dan. Logan shifted awkwardly. You look good. Charlotte smirked. You look rich. Ray quietly walked away. Logan sat beside her. You got my message. Obviously. He nodded. Thanks for coming. Charlotte laughed softly. Oh, trust me, Logan. I didn't come here to be polite. The tension thickened. Logan ran a hand through his hair. Look, before you say anything. Charlotte leaned closer. You sold me for $10 million. Logan's jaw tightened. It wasn't like that. Charlotte laughed again. That's exactly what it was. Charlotte. No. Her voice turned sharp. You don't get to explain yet. People nearby glanced over. Charlotte lowered her voice, but her eyes burned. You forged documents. You stole the company. You vanished. She leaned even closer. So here's the part I'm curious about. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Why the hell would you text me after 3 years? Logan looked around nervously. We shouldn't talk, hey? Charlotte leaned back. Oh no, cowboy. We definitely talking, hey? Logan's voice dropped. You're in danger. Charlotte blinked once, then laughed. That's your opening line. I'm serious. Logan, the only dangerous thing in this bar right now. Her eyes locked on his. Is me. Logan leaned forward urgently. Victor Hale. The name hit Charlotte like a punch. She didn't show it, but inside, everything froze. Victor Hale. The man from the bar 3 years ago. The man who changed everything. Charlotte tilted her head. Interesting name. Logan's voice shook slightly. He's coming for you. Charlotte took another sip of whiskey. Funny thing. Logan frowned. What? Charlotte smiled coldly. I've been looking for him too. Logan stared at her. You don't understand who he is. Charlotte shrugged. Rich guy. Investor. Probably shady. Logan laughed bitterly. Shady. He leaned closer. Charlotte, Victor Hale isn't just an investor. Then what is he? Logan whispered the answer. Organized crime. The bar suddenly felt smaller. Charlotte stayed calm. Crime doesn't scare me. Logan's eyes darkened. This does. He slid a newspaper clipping across the bar. Charlotte looked down. The headline made her stomach tighten. Tech CEO found dead in Dallas hotel. Below the headline was a photo. Charlotte's breath caught. She recognized him. Mark Sullivan, the investor who was supposed to fund their company 3 years ago. Charlotte looked up slowly. Let me guess. Logan nodded. Victor Hale. Charlotte tapped the newspaper. And this concerns me. Why? Logan swallowed. Because you're next. Charlotte's laugh was quiet. Logan, if this is your way of apologizing, it sucks. I'm not apologizing. Then what are you doing? Logan looked terrified. I'm trying to keep you alive. Charlotte stared at him. Then she stood up. You know what I think? Logan waited. I think you're lying again. She tossed cash on the bar. And I think this is just another game. Logan grabbed her arm. Charlotte, listen. She twisted his wrist so fast he gasped. The bar went silent. Charlotte leaned close. Touch me again and I break your arm. Logan froze. Charlotte released him. 3 years ago you stole everything I built. Her voice turned deadly calm. So if someone's hunting you now. She walked toward the door. I hope they catch you. Lightning flashed outside. Charlotte stepped into the rain, but she didn't get far, because across the street, a black SUV had just pulled up. 4 men stepped out, all wearing suits, all carrying guns, and all of them were looking directly at Charlotte. Logan burst out of the bar behind her. Charlotte, run! Too late. One of the men lifted a pistol. The street exploded with gunfire. Charlotte dove behind her challenger as bullets shattered windows and streetlights. Her heart pounded. Rain soaked her hair as she pulled a handgun from her jacket. She fired twice. One of the gunmen dropped. Logan slid beside her behind the car. See, he shouted. This is what I was talking about. Charlotte glared at him. You brought them here. I didn't. More bullets slammed into the car. Glass shattered. The engine block sparked. Charlotte peeked around the hood. 2 gunmen advancing. 1 aiming. Her mind calculated distances instantly. 3 shooters left. She muttered. Logan looked stunned. You counting? I always count. Charlotte fired again. Another gunman fell. But the 3rd one didn't hesitate. He aimed directly at Charlotte's head. Then, bang. The gunman dropped instantly. Charlotte blinked. Someone else had fired. A motorcycle roared down the street. Black helmet, black jacket. The rider stopped beside them, pulled off the helmet. Charlotte froze, because the woman staring at her looked strangely familiar. Dark hair, sharp eyes, same jawline. The woman spoke calmly. Get in the car if you want to live. Charlotte stared. Who the hell are you? The woman smiled. My name. She paused. Ava Hale. Charlotte's blood ran cold. Hale. Ava nodded casually. Yeah. She pointed toward the bodies in the street. Victor Hale is my father. Lightning flashed again. And Charlotte realized something horrifying. She wasn't just caught in a revenge story anymore. She was trapped inside a war. The rain kept falling. Sirens echoed somewhere in the distance as Austin's streets flashed with red and blue reflections. The bodies of Victor Hale's men lay scattered across the wet asphalt, their guns sliding slowly toward the storm drains. Charlotte stood frozen beside her challenger, Ava Hale, Victor Hale's daughter. That single fact felt like someone had dropped a live grenade into Charlotte's life. Logan grabbed Charlotte's arm. We have to go, he whispered urgently. Charlotte didn't move. Her eyes stayed locked on Ava. Ava leaned casually against the motorcycle like the chaos around them was just another Tuesday night. You 2 planning to stand there all night, Ava said, or do you prefer getting arrested with 3 dead guys on the street? Logan cursed. Charlotte, cops will be here in 2 minutes. Charlotte finally blinked, then slowly lowered her gun. Fine. Ava tossed her a car key. Good choice. Charlotte caught it. It wasn't the Challenger key. Charlotte frowned. What is this? Ava nodded toward the alley behind the bar. Your new ride. Charlotte glanced back. Parked in the shadows was a black SUV, engine running. Logan whispered, This feels like a bad idea. Charlotte smirked. Every good revenge story starts with one. They ran. The SUV tore through downtown Austin minutes later, tires splashing through puddles as the storm hammered the city. Ava drove. Fast. Like someone who had spent years escaping problems. Charlotte sat in the passenger seat. Logan in the back. Nobody spoke for the first few minutes. Then Logan finally exploded. "You're his daughter." Ava didn't even glance at him. "Congratulations. Your brain works." Logan leaned forward. "Your father just tried to kill us." Ava shrugged. "Yeah, that happens." Logan stared at her like she was insane. Charlotte watched Ava carefully. There was something strange about her calmness. Something dangerous. "You saved us," Charlotte said quietly. Ava nodded. Technically. Technically. Yeah." Ava turned the wheel sharply onto a quiet street lined with old Texas houses. "Because if you died tonight," Ava continued, "my entire plan would fall apart." Charlotte's eyes narrowed. "Your plan?" Ava parked the SUV under a large oak tree. Rain tapped against the windshield. Then Ava turned to face them. "Let's stop pretending we're strangers." Charlotte crossed her arms. "All right." Her voice turned cold. "Start talking." Ava studied her. "You're exactly like the reports said." Charlotte frowned. "What reports?" Ava ignored the question. "You built a cybersecurity startup from nothing. Your father stole it. Technically, Logan sold it." Logan groaned. "Can we stop saying that like I sold a used car?" Charlotte shot him a glare. Ava leaned forward. "My father bought your company because of its software." Charlotte blinked. "What software?" Logan answered quietly. "The encryption model." Charlotte looked at him. Logan continued. "The thing we built to protect music contracts." Charlotte's mind raced. "That was just a prototype." Ava nodded. "To you." She leaned closer. "To my father, it was a weapon." Charlotte felt the ground shift under her understanding. "What are you talking about?" Ava's voice dropped. "Your algorithm doesn't just secure data." Charlotte's pulse quickened. "It hides it." Logan looked away. Charlotte turned toward him slowly. "Logan." He didn't answer. "Logan, what did you do?" Logan rubbed his face. "Victor Hale found out your encryption could hide financial transactions inside normal data traffic." Charlotte stared. "That's impossible." "Not with your architecture." Ava smiled faintly. "You accidentally invented the perfect laundering system." The words hit Charlotte like a freight train. "No." Ava nodded. "My father moves billions through illegal channels." Charlotte whispered, "Drugs?" Ava shook her head. "Weiss." Logan spoke quietly. "Human trafficking." The SUV felt suddenly suffocating. Charlotte's stomach twisted. Victor Hale hadn't bought their startup for profit. He bought it to hide crimes. Horrible crimes. Charlotte's hands clenched. "And you knew this?" Logan nodded slowly. Charlotte's voice trembled with fury. "You knew?" Logan looked at the floor. "I didn't at first." "Then when?" "When they showed me the deal." Charlotte laughed bitterly. "The 10 million." Logan shook his head. "No." Charlotte frowned. "What?" Logan whispered the truth. 50 million. The silence in the car became suffocating. Charlotte stared at him. "You sold our company, and my life." Her voice cracked with rage. "For $50 million. Logan's voice broke. "They said if I didn't sign, they'd kill you." Charlotte blinked. The anger paused. "What?" Ava nodded. "That part is true." Charlotte looked between them. "They threatened you." Logan laughed bitterly. "Threatened?" He rolled up his sleeve. A long scar ran down his arm. "They cut me open while explaining the offer." Charlotte's chest tightened. "They had photos of you." Logan continued. "Your apartment. Your car. Your parents' house." Charlotte whispered, "You should have told me." Logan shook his head. "They would have killed you." Ava leaned back in the seat. "My father doesn't negotiate." Charlotte's mind spun. 3 years of hatred suddenly felt complicated, but only slightly. "You still ran away," she said. Logan nodded. Yeah. Why? Because they gave me one condition. Charlotte waited. Logan whispered, I had to disappear forever. Charlotte frowned. Why? Ava answered, because the person who built the algorithm, she pointed at Charlotte, was always the real prize. Charlotte felt the truth hit like ice water. Victor Hale didn't just want the company. He wanted the mind that created it. Huh, Charlotte whispered. So the attack's tonight. Ava nodded. My father finally found you again. Logan added quietly. And he thinks I know where the full encryption key is. Charlotte blinked. What key? Logan met her eyes. The master code. Charlotte's blood ran cold. The master code was the one thing she never finished. Without it, the system was incomplete. Victor Hale needed that code to move unlimited money without detection. Charlotte leaned back slowly. So let me get this straight. She looked at Ava. Your father is a crime lord using my technology to hide human trafficking money. Ava nodded calmly. Yes. Charlotte looked at Logan. And you sold him the company to save my life. Logan nodded. Yes. Charlotte exhaled slowly. Rain hammered the roof of the SUV. Finally she asked the question that mattered most. So why are you helping me? Ava smiled slightly. Because I hate my father. Charlotte raised an eyebrow. That's simple. Ava's voice turned cold. He killed my mother. Silence filled the car. Ava continued. And I've spent 10 years planning how to destroy him. Charlotte stuttered her. And you think I'm part of that plan? Ava nodded. You're not part of it. She smiled slightly. You're the key. Charlotte thought for a long moment. Then she laughed quietly. 3 years I've been hunting revenge. She looked at Logan. Turns out the revenge story is bigger than I thought. Logan nodded. Charlotte turned back to Ava. So what's the plan? Ava's smile widened. We burn his empire to the ground. Charlotte's eyes gleamed. I like that. Then Ava said something that changed everything. But first, she looked at Charlotte carefully. You need to know the truth about your company. Charlotte frowned. What truth? Ava took a slow breath. My father didn't steal your company. Charlotte blinked. What? Ava looked at Logan, then back at Charlotte. He stole something much more valuable. Charlotte's voice dropped. What? Ava said the words slowly. Your shadow. Charlotte's heart skipped. What does that even mean? Ava reached into her jacket and pulled out a tablet. She turned the screen toward Charlotte. Charlotte stared. Her entire life flashed on the screen. Emails, bank records, private messages, security footage, even photos from inside her apartment. Everything. Ava whispered the terrifying truth. Victor Hale has been watching you. She paused. For 20 years. Charlotte's blood went ice cold. Why? Ava looked at her carefully. Because you were never supposed to invent that algorithm. Charlotte's voice barely came out. Then who was? Ava said quietly. My father. Charlotte's mind exploded with confusion. That makes no sense. Ava leaned closer. It will. She paused. When you learn who you really are. Thunder cracked across the sky, and Charlotte realized something horrifying. Her revenge story had just turned into something far bigger, something that had been planned, long before she was even born. Rain slowed to a thin mist drifting through the quiet neighborhoods as the black SUV rolled onto a narrow road outside the city. Oak trees leaned over the asphalt, their branches forming a dark tunnel lit only by occasional streetlights. Inside the car, silence hung heavy. Charlotte stared at the tablet in her hands. Her life, every detail, every movement, 20 years of surveillance. Her throat felt dry. That's impossible, she said finally. Ava kept her eyes on the road. It isn't. Charlotte scrolled through the files again. Photos from college, emails from her first internship, security footage from inside a grocery store she visited last year, even a video clip from inside the broken cactus the night she and Logan celebrated the investor deal. Her chest tightened. You're telling me? Charlotte said slowly, that your father has been spying on me since I was a kid. Ava nodded. Yes. Logan leaned forward from the back seat. I didn't know about that part, he admitted quietly. Charlotte looked at him sharply. So there's more you didn't tell me. Logan didn't argue, because he knew she was right. Charlotte turned back to Ava. Why? Ava pulled the SUV onto a gravel driveway leading to an isolated ranch house. The building looked old but sturdy, sitting alone under the Texas sky. Ava parked the car. We safe here? Charlotte didn't move. Answer the question. Ava turned off the engine, then looked at Charlotte seriously. Because your life wasn't random. Charlotte felt irritation flare. Lady, you better start explaining. Ava stepped out of the SUV. Charlotte followed. The night air smelled like wet soil and cedar trees. Logan climbed out too, rubbing his arms against the cold. Inside the ranch house, the lights flicked on automatically. It wasn't an ordinary house. Every wall was covered with screens. Maps. Documents. Photos. Charlotte froze in the doorway. Holy hell! One entire wall was a timeline, and her name was everywhere. School photos, university records, business licenses, every major moment of her life pinned like evidence in a murder investigation. Charlotte turned slowly toward Ava. You built all this? Ava nodded. Took 10 years. Logan walked closer to the wall. You've been tracking Charlotte this whole time. Ava crossed her arms. Not just Charlotte. She pointed to another section. Logan's face appeared there too. Photos. Bank records. Flight logs. Logan sighed. Well, that's creepy. Charlotte ignored him. Her eyes were fixed on the oldest photo on the wall. A hospital room. A newborn baby. Charlotte. And standing beside the hospital bed was a man she didn't recognize, but something about him felt familiar. Charlotte stepped closer. Who is that? Ava walked beside her. That man. She pointed to the photo. Is Dr. Elias Mercer. Charlotte frowned. Never heard of him. Ava studied her expression. That's because you weren't supposed to. Charlotte turned. Stop speaking in riddles. Ava nodded. Fair enough. She walked to a computer console and pressed a few keys. One of the screens lit up. A video file appeared. Dated 27 years ago. A hospital security recording. Charlotte's birth date. Ava pressed play. The grainy footage showed a hospital hallway. Doctors walking. Nurses moving between rooms. Then a door opened. A young man stepped out holding a baby. Charlotte leaned forward. That's... Ava nodded. You. Charlotte watched the video carefully. The man holding her looked nervous, looking over his shoulder repeatedly. Then another man appeared in the hallway. Tall, well-dressed. Even in low-resolution footage his presence felt powerful. Charlotte's stomach twisted. She recognized him instantly. Victor Hale. A younger version. He approached the doctor. They spoke. Then something strange happened. Victor handed the doctor a briefcase. The doctor hesitated, but eventually took it. Charlotte whispered, "What am I watching?" Ava paused the video. That doctor, she said calmly, was supposed to create the encryption algorithm you later invented. Charlotte blinked. What? Ava nodded. My father funded a secret research program in the 90s. Why? To build the most advanced financial encryption system in the world. Charlotte crossed her arms. And that involves me how? Ava tapped the screen. Because Dr. Mercer failed. Charlotte frowned. What do you mean failed? Ava sighed. The algorithm required a specific type of cognitive pattern recognition. Charlotte's patience thinned. Speak English. Ava smirked slightly. Basically, someone with an extremely rare problem-solving brain. Charlotte rolled her eyes. And Ava leaned closer. So the doctor decided to cheat. Charlotte stared. Cheat how? Ava pointed at the video. He conducted an illegal experiment. Charlotte's chest tightened. On who? Ava met her eyes. On you. Charlotte laughed in disbelief. Yeah, okay, Now this story sounds crazy. Ava didn't laugh. You were part of a cognitive enhancement experiment at birth. Charlotte's smile faded. That's not funny. Ava spoke gently. I'm not joking. Charlotte's mind spun. That's impossible. Ava opened another file. Medical records. Charlotte's name. But the documents listed something strange. Subject, C-17. Charlotte whispered. Subject. Ava nodded. The doctor altered your neural development using experimental genetic coding. Charlotte stepped backward. No. Ava continued carefully. He was trying to create the brain capable of designing the encryption system. Charlotte shook her head. No, no, no. Logan looked stunned. Are you saying Charlotte was engineered to build the algorithm? Ava nodded. Yes. Charlotte laughed nervously. This is insane. Ava looked sympathetic. I know. Charlotte pointed at the screens. You're telling me my entire life is some experiment. Ava shook her head slightly. No. Charlotte glared. Then what? Ava answered quietly. It's an accident. Charlotte frowned. What accident? Ava tapped the screen again. Another video appeared. This one from a different hospital camera. The same hallway. Minutes later. The doctor running. Holding the baby. Charlotte. Victor Hale chasing him. Charlotte's breath caught. The doctor reached an exit door. Before leaving, he placed the baby in a nurse's arms. Then ran down the stairs. Victor followed. Gun in hand. Charlotte whispered. Did he? Ava nodded slowly. My father killed him. Silence filled the room. Charlotte's mind reeled. So I was abandoned. Ava shook her head. No. She zoomed in on the footage. The nurse who took the baby. Charlotte stared. Her eyes widened. That's... Logan leaned closer. Wait, isn't that? Charlotte finished the sentence. My mother. Ava nodded. Your mother was a nurse in that hospital. Charlotte's chest tightened. So she adopted me. Ava shook her head again. No. Charlotte blinked. What? Ava spoke softly. She was already your mother. Charlotte felt the world tilt. I don't understand. Ava explained slowly. The doctor used her child for the experiment. Charlotte whispered. Me. Ava nodded. Yes. Charlotte's breathing became shallow. So my mom knew. Ava hesitated. No. Charlotte stared at her. Then who does? Ava looked straight into Charlotte's eyes. Only two people knew the full truth. Charlotte whispered. The doctor. Ava nodded. And? Ava said quietly. My father. Charlotte felt something dark rise inside her. All her life she believed she built the algorithm through talent and hard work. But now, it felt like her brain had been engineered for it. She laughed bitterly. So Victor Hale basically created me. Ava shook her head. No. Charlotte frowned. What? Ava looked serious. My father believes he created you. Charlotte waited. But the truth, Ava paused, is even worse. Charlotte felt her stomach twist. Worse how? Ava leaned closer. You didn't just invent the encryption system. Charlotte's voice dropped. Then what did I invent? Ava whispered the terrifying truth. You accidentally created the only program capable of exposing every illegal transaction my father has ever made. Charlotte blinked. What? Logan leaned forward. Wait, the algorithm can do that. Ava nodded. If Charlotte completes the master code. Charlotte's mind clicked. The unfinished master key. The piece she never built. Victor Hale wasn't chasing her just to use the system. He needed that final piece. Charlotte whispered slowly. If I finish the master code. Ava nodded. You could expose my father's entire criminal empire. Charlotte felt something cold settle inside her. 3 years of anger. 3 years of revenge. Suddenly the target had grown much bigger. She looked around the room filled with evidence. Then at Logan. Then at Ava. Finally Charlotte smiled. A dangerous smile. Well, Dan. Logan sighed. That smile worries me. Charlotte cracked her knuckles. Good. Ava tilted her head. You're thinking about it? Charlotte nodded. Oh yeah. Ava asked quietly. What's the plan? Charlotte walked toward the screen showing Victor Hale's empire. Her eyes burned with determination. Simple. She looked back at them. We finished the master code. Logan swallowed. And then, Charlotte's voice turned cold as steel. Then we destroy Victor Hale. But Ava didn't smile. Because there was one final truth Charlotte still didn't know. And when she learned it, everything would change again. Because Victor Hale wasn't just hunting Charlotte anymore. He had already found her. And at that exact moment, hundreds of miles away in Dallas, Victor Hale was watching her on a live camera feed, smiling, because his real plan was finally ready. Dallas, Texas, high above the city, inside a glass tower overlooking the glowing skyline, Victor Hale stood quietly beside a massive window. The storm that had passed through Austin hours earlier was now rolling across North Texas. Lightning flashed behind the skyscrapers while rain streaked the glass like thin silver veins. Victor Hale didn't move. His hands rested calmly behind his back. In front of him, dozens of monitors covered the wall of his private office. Every screen showed something different. Financial charts, cargo shipments, encrypted bank transfers. And on the largest monitor, Charlotte Mercer, alive, standing inside the ranch house. Victor smiled faintly. Interesting. Behind him, a man in a dark suit shifted nervously. So, the Austin team failed. Victor didn't even turn around. Yes, he said calmly. I noticed. The man swallowed. 3 of our people are dead. Victor finally looked back at him. The expression in his eyes was cold enough to freeze the room. That happens, he said quietly. But sir. Victor raised one finger. The man immediately fell silent. Victor returned his attention to the screen. Charlotte stood in front of a wall of evidence with Ava and Logan beside her. Victor studied her carefully. The same eyes, the same posture, the same mind that had fascinated him for decades. She finally understands, Victor murmured. The assistant asked cautiously. Understands what? Victor's smile widened slightly. That she was always part of my design. Austin, the ranch house. Charlotte didn't sleep. None of them did. The house hummed with electricity and quiet determination as monitors flickered through the night. Coffee cups piled on the desk while lines of code crawled across multiple screens. Charlotte sat in front of the main computer. Her fingers moved across the keyboard like a pianist performing a dangerous symphony. Lines of encryption logic unfolded rapidly. Ava leaned against the wall watching. Logan paced behind them. You've been coding for 6 hours, Logan said. Charlotte didn't look up. I know. You should take a break. Charlotte typed faster. No. Logan rubbed his temples. You're going to fry your brain. Charlotte stopped typing, slowly turned her chair. Her eyes looked sharper than Logan had ever seen them. This brain, she said quietly, is the only weapon we have. Logan didn't argue. Ava walked closer to the monitor. How close are you? Charlotte cracked her knuckles. Closer than Victor Hale would like. Lines of code filled the screen. The master key. The missing piece. Charlotte's unfinished algorithm. For 3 years she refused to touch it. Now she was finishing it. Because finishing it meant something terrifying. The system wouldn't just hide transactions anymore. It would reveal them. Every secret, every payment, every human life sold inside Victor Hale's empire. Logan leaned forward. What happens when you finish? Charlotte didn't answer immediately. Her eyes stayed locked on the screen. Then she said quietly, Victor Hale burns. Ava smiled slightly. That's the idea. Charlotte typed again. A long pause followed. Then, the screen flashed. Master protocol complete. The room went silent. Logan whispered, Did you just? Charlotte nodded slowly. Yeah. Ava stepped closer. So the system works. Charlotte turned the screen toward them. Thousands of encrypted transactions appeared instantly. Hidden bank transfers, cargo routes, private accounts, and one massive network map connecting everything. Logan's eyes widened. Holy hell! Charlotte pointed to the center node. Victor Hale's financial empire. Drug routes, trafficking pipelines, blackmail payments. Everything. Ava whispered, my father's entire operation. Charlotte nodded. Every secret. Logan exhaled slowly. We can take him down. Charlotte shook her head. Not yet. Ava frowned. Why? Charlotte zoomed in on one specific data cluster. Because this, she pointed, is where it gets interesting. Logan leaned closer. What is that? Charlotte said quietly, a failsafe. Ava's stomach dropped. What kind of failsafe? Charlotte clicked open the file. Victor Hale's personal directive. If his network was exposed, every piece of evidence would automatically erase itself. And worse, the system would release dozens of blackmail files on politicians, corporations, and law enforcement officials. Logan whispered he'd take half the country down with him. Charlotte nodded. He designed the perfect dead man's switch. Ava clenched her jaw. That bastard. Charlotte leaned back. Which means if we expose the system wrong. She tapped the screen. We lose everything. Logan sighed. So what do we do? Charlotte smiled slowly. Simple. Ava raised an eyebrow. Your definition of simple worries me. Charlotte stood up. We don't just expose him. Logan waited. Charlotte finished the sentence. We make him expose himself. Ava crossed her arms. Explain. Charlotte walked to the evidence wall. She pointed at Victor Hale's main operations center. Dallas. The glass tower. That's his throne. Logan nodded. And? Charlotte turned. We go there. Logan blinked. You want to walk into the lion's den. Charlotte smirked. Exactly. Ava tilted her head. You're serious? Charlotte nodded. He thinks he controls the system. Ava understood instantly. But if he logs into it himself? Charlotte snapped her fingers. The failsafe won't activate. Logan frowned. Because it thinks he authorized the access. Charlotte grinned. Now you're catching up. Ava smiled. Not bad. Charlotte grabbed her jacket. Let's go pay Victor Hale a visit. Dallas, Victor Hale Tower. Morning sunlight broke through storm clouds as the elevator doors opened on the top floor. Charlotte stepped out first. Logan followed. Ava walked beside them calmly. The building was quiet. Too quiet. Logan whispered, this feels like a trap. A voice echoed from across the office. That's because it is. Victor Hale stepped forward from the shadows. Tall, elegant, completely calm. Behind him stood 4 armed guards. Victor studied Charlotte carefully, then smiled. You took longer than I expected. Charlotte crossed her arms. Sorry, traffic. Victor chuckled. You have your mother's sarcasm. Charlotte's eyes hardened. You murdered a doctor in a hospital hallway. Victor shrugged. He betrayed me. Charlotte stepped closer. You ruined my life. Victor tilted his head. On the contrary. He gestured toward her. I created your life. Charlotte laughed. That's not how creation works. Victor smiled. You finished the master code. Charlotte didn't respond. Victor continued. Which means you finally understand your purpose. Charlotte's voice dropped to ice. My purpose is ending you. Victor chuckled softly. My dear Charlotte. He stepped closer. You're far too late for that. Charlotte raised an eyebrow. Am I? She tapped the tablet in her hand. Victor frowned slightly. What is that? Charlotte turned the screen toward him. His financial network. Fully exposed. Victor's expression changed for the first time. How did you? Charlotte smiled. You logged into the system the moment we walked in. Victor looked at the screen. The realization hit instantly. You tricked me. Charlotte nodded. Yep. Ava stepped forward. Game over, father. Sirens echoed outside the building. FBI vehicles surrounded the tower. Helicopters circled above the skyline. Victor Hale looked around slowly, then back at Charlotte. For a moment, he smiled. Impressive. Charlotte didn't smile back. Victor raised his hands calmly as agents burst into the room. But before they grabbed him, he leaned closer to Charlotte and whispered something that froze her blood. "You think this is the end?" Charlotte's breath caught. Victor's eyes gleamed. "But you still don't know the truth about your shadow." Charlotte frowned. "What truth?" Victor smiled one last time. "The algorithm didn't just expose my empire." Charlotte's heart pounded. "Then what did it do?" Victor whispered softly. "It unlocked something far bigger." FBI agents dragged him away. But Charlotte stood frozen, because the system on her tablet suddenly changed. New data appeared. Not Victor Hale's empire. Something else. Something massive. Something global. Logan stared at the screen. "Charlotte." Ava whispered. "What is that?" Charlotte's voice barely came out. "I think." She swallowed slowly. "I just uncovered something bigger than Victor Hale." The screen displayed a hidden network stretching across governments, corporations, and intelligence agencies worldwide. A secret system buried deeper than anything she had imagined. Charlotte whispered the only thought in her mind. "What the hell did I just start?" And for the first time in this entire war, Charlotte realized the truth. Her revenge story was only the beginning.